I think I did the same thing last week.
You did, but it's a classic. Welcome to the Bear Attack podcast. We are the Bears. My name is Tori Bear, and this is my husband,
Josh Bear.
And we are so excited that you decided to tune in for this episode. I think it's a really good one and a lot that will affect I think everyone probably has had an experience with this podcast topic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know where I was going with that.
Yeah. Okay. This is ginger beer, by the way. Reed's ginger beer.
Yeah, Josh isn't drinking and podcasting.
Or like alcohol, no.
Or a PUI, as we call it.
Podcasting
under the influence. Did you say it with us? Good.
Very good. Good job.
No, yeah, ginger beer is the best. Okay, so last week we talked about a lot of different things. We talked about a lot of the college experiences. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned that I wanted to talk about we would talk about my nursing school experience because I didn't graduate, I didn't do one major. I changed majors halfway through college. And I think a lot of people do that. So I started off as a nursing major in a school that specializes in nursing school. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have, all the other majors. Wow.
I feel like I'm the one that's normally forgetting words.
Josh forgets words. I'm surprised he knows how to form a sentence sometimes because the words he forgets is really concerning.
It just started happening in the last 6 months too.
Yeah, we're not looking too much into it though.
No.
Maybe we should.
No.
Yeah.
It is weird.
It's weird, yeah.
What was the word I forgot today? I turned to you and I was doing? What's that word?
I think I forget.
I forget what the word was.
But
it was like the dumbest, easiest word. And I was like, oh, yeah, right.
It's bad. Yeah.
I can't believe I can't remember what it was.
That's also concerning that neither of us can remember.
Well, no, it was a quick moment.
Yeah.
So I'm not that surprised that we don't remember.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, nursing school. And, the school had other majors, but, you go for it you say the name of the school and they're like, oh, you're studying this major there, nursing. And you're like, yes. So, so I started my nursing school career right out of high school. I didn't take any gap year, which I probably should have. Maybe have saved me some heartache, I'll say. You'll see why that is down the line. So,
but when you were making the decision, it didn't make sense for you to take a gap year.
From high school to college?
Yeah. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I wanted to follow the path that everyone else follows.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
gotcha.
Yeah. So I go to nursing school and, like everyone who goes to nursing school, we're all fresh faced and very ready to work hard and we have the drive. And I don't know, 2.5, how long was I in nursing school? 2 years? I think it was.
You made it to junior year. You're halfway through your first semester junior year.
Okay,
right?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
It is right. No, it is correct. Yeah, so I'm halfway through my junior year and I thought I knew how to say this, but I'm kind of struggling to put the words together.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have to explain everything else that's going on at this time. So. Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I have to give context. So, during the end of my sophomore year, my grandma was diagnosed with lung cancer. So she was dying that whole year, and it was extremely difficult for my family. It was really hard. It was hard on everyone. She was the light of the family. She kind of held us all together. And and she was amazing. So she died in the beginning of my junior year. We always start off these podcasts with very heavy stories.
Very heavy. Yeah.
Sorry, y'all.
It'll get lighter.
It always does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does get lighter. But yeah, so she passed away. Her name was Eileen. and she was amazing. So it was my paternal grandmother, so my dad's mom. And so she passed away, and it was, extremely hard. But at the same time, I was doing this weird thing that I think a lot of us do, where we're kind of just denying it's happening and trying to focus on other stuff. So for me, that was school, and it wasn't really healthy, obviously, but I was just kind of in denial of the fact that she was dying, and just like, no, I can't think about that. I have to focus on school. And I know that sounds horrible, but that's just kind of what my brain was doing to kind of cope. And also I was in a relationship that I've been with this guy since high school. So he was not the guy sitting next to me, my ex.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was, we were together in high school and dated all through up to this point. Never had any breaks or anything. And so at that point, it was 3.5 years we had been dating. And so we broke it off. And so that was kind of, I didn't realize the impact that would have on me either, ending a 3.5 year relationship. And kind of the stress is building all up until a certain point. And I just kind of have a breakdown, I think. I just realized I'm massively depressed. I have no motivation for nursing school, and you can't not have motivation in nursing school. You need to be on all the time. Exactly. So I just kind of realized, like, I can't keep going. And that's really hard for me to do at that time, because I was and still am like a huge perfectionist, to the point where I will break myself down just to achieve something that I want to achieve. And so I was really struggling with that, but it just kind of came to the point where like my brain like had a blue screen, like I couldn't keep going. So I eventually, I just make a decision one night. I'm like, oh no, okay, sorry, I'm kind of remembering the story. So this is kind of the sequence of events that happened. I kind of gave a broad overview, but in that fall, I was taking a class. I started a class called pharmacology, and I, started the class, and it's, you're memorizing all these drugs.
I was going to say, do you mind if I say just one little snippet?
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
I was just going to say, for those who aren't like nursing students or haven't been like medical field majors,
yeah,
pharmacology is like an infamous class because it's like you have to like memorize all the drugs and what they're for, and it's like the memorization is like basically impossible.
Yeah, and people were doing it, but because they were motivated to do so. I like was not motivated at all.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't say impossible, but just like very, very difficult. You really got to be, like you said, motivated, and you got to commit. Yeah,
exactly. And I couldn't commit, so there's like so we started that class, and I was actually I was really excited about that class, because I was kind of, we all deal with pharmacology in our day-to-day lives. We've all been to the pharmacist. So I was really excited about it, and seeing how certain drugs interact with what. But, it was just, the Lord knew. He was all in his timing, but it was just the start of something terrible for me. So what happened? I was in that class, and then there was a certain test. In nursing school, we had like 3 tests a semester that kind of determined our grade. So this was like the second, or this might have been the first, I forget. I think it was the first test of the semester, and like it was the first test, the second test, and then I think the third was the final, if I'm remembering correctly. So I believe this was the first test of the year, and I did not study well for it. I couldn't. I was just like aimless. So I go to my professor, and I'm in the professor of the course, and she also does a lot in the nursing school. She's pretty heavily involved. And I go to her, and I'm just like, I didn't study. I start breaking down, and I'm crying. And she's like, Tori, you can, And she said this with like love and kindness. She wasn't saying like, she was saying like you can leave, like you can take a break, and you can always come back, or pursue something different if you want. But I think it's really good if you take a break, and no one has to know like what, like that you're taking a break. And I think that was the biggest fear, was people's perception of me. I felt like such a failure. But she was saying that there was no shame in it, and there really isn't if you're currently in a major that you're feeling similar to me at that time. So sorry, I had to take a breath.
I was like,
I realized
is
I
she
hadn't
gonna
breathed.
cry? Or
I sounded like I was gonna cry, but I really was just losing my breath. I didn't want to like breathe, exhale too hardly into the mic.
I was preparing for tears. I was like, all right, here we go.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Which is okay.
I do hate listening to people who sound like they're about to cry and like just never get there. Maybe it's like the worst anticipation. I was gonna cry a little earlier when I was talking about my grandma.
Okay, yeah. I remember that, yeah.
I remember that 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. I think I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Dude, I'm getting legit like early onset.
Do not say that. We have enough to deal with you right now. Okay, you bring enough to the table.
It's so bad how I forget words though.
It's okay. I think
I'll be in meetings at work.
Wait, seriously?
And I'll be like, oh, blah 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 blah.
Oh no.
I have to like explain the word that I'm trying to say, not so that anybody can like
understand it.
No, not so that anybody can tell me like, oh yeah, that's the word you're looking for. I just am trying to look for some sort of substitute. Way. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually pretty scary.
I
sorry.
don't know
you have to
why.
Deal with that.
I don't know what's wrong with my brain.
Probably we need more vegetables in our diet.
We eat a good amount of vegetables.
Lettuce on a Chick-fil-A sandwich doesn't count.
Okay.
Josh,
that was tonight.
That was a dig at me because he had a full-on salad. I had a Chick-fil-A sandwich. I didn't want anyone to think I was like fat shaming my husband.
Oh no. That was a healthy sandwich though.
No, it was.
Yes, it was.
It was like fried and in oil and.
Oh, I forgot the chicken was fried.
Yeah, that makes it unhealthy.
All this to say, I feel like we have veggies a decent amount during the week.
Yeah, maybe we need like one of those apps that work out your brain, give you like puzzles and stuff.
Maybe it's because I haven't read a book in a while.
Oh my gosh, I think you nailed it.
Like, I've read the Bible.
Yeah, but you haven't read like but the Bible you read in sections. A book you kind of consume in larger passages.
Yes,
I think you do need that.
Is that the issue?
Yeah. It is. I think
Dude,
it is. I think you solved it.
There's truly something wrong with my brain. I'm glad we're figuring this out on the podcast.
Me too. I think
it's funny because we haven't talked about this.
This is kind of like
hardly at all.
Our therapy, also.
It's
oddly
so true.
enough, you guys are our therapists. I love that though.
Anyway, sorry, I derailed us big time.
Yes, you did. This is my moment.
I apologize. Yeah. I know. I had my moment last week.
You had a lot of your moment. This is my story.
Yeah, you got it. Sorry.
I wanted to say real quick, I know it sounds bad that we're kind of like, I'm saying my grandma died and I'm kind of making a joke about it. I'm like totally at peace with that because I know she's in heaven, like worshiping with worshiping the Lord. Like she's in a better place than I am. Like she's on the right side of heaven, so like I know she's like, she loved the Lord, and I know she's just having a party up there right now. So and I'll see her soon. I'm gonna see her again. 100%. So that's why I don't want people like, I was just kind of realizing it's weird that I'm kind of laughing around this topic, but
right.
No, it is sad and I do get emotional about it, but because I don't really let myself think about it too much. But I do know that she is in heaven, and I'll see her again. Yeah. So all this to say, you derailed us so bad.
I'm so sorry.
What part of my story was I at?
You were at the part talking about, You had gone to your advisor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm with my advisor. She's telling me I can leave. No one will know. And I'm like, wow, am I actually doing that? I never imagined this for myself. I was like picturing myself as a nurse. So I'm texting my mom, and like, it's just kind of surreal to me. Like, I feel like I was watching outside of my body all of this unfold. And so, but she was saying, like, you should still take the test. Like, there's no pressure, just take it. And I was like, okay. So I took the test and I got like an 87 on it. Like, I did really like pretty well for not having studied at all. Like,
There's no pressure.
I just kind of want to flaunt that for a second.
Girl, you crushed it. Yeah.
So I totally crushed the test.
Yeah.
Just using common sense.
That's amazing.
Common sense and no stress. Like,
right.
The fog of stress was gone. I could see clearly. I had a good cry. It was just all that was good. So
yeah,
that getting that result back was really like empowering for me. Like, no, I'm smart. I'm not a failure. I just am going through a really rough time right now, and this might not be the major for me. Yeah, sorry. Oh gosh, I'm just like worried like it's gonna sound weird when I like that. Like, is that weird?
That's funny.
So okay, so I took the test.
Yeah.
I got the results back like, I don't know, a couple weeks or days later. I think that day I broke up with my boyfriend. And then, but then like, okay, sorry, the timeline. I'm so sorry. I was like nervous to tell the story because I knew I would butcher it. I think I think in October, I forget. The timeline is so muddled. But I think early October, my grandma passed away, and then later October is when the test and the breakup went down. And
yeah, no, you dropped out of school, broke up with a long-term relationship, and had your grandma die all in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. And I didn't realize like the toll that was taking on me. And so then my mom suggested that I'm done, like I'm out of school, which is like the weirdest feeling. I'm not in a relationship anymore after being in one for 3.5 years, which was the weirdest feeling. Sorry, I kind of there's like an air bubble coming up.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh boy. Okay, sorry. I'm back.
No, that is very, very weird because you've been doing school. We all have been doing school our entire lives up to that point.
It's just the next natural. And you see everyone else doing okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's wrong with me? Yeah.
The thought of like taking a break from school never occurred to any of us because like you didn't do that.
A lot of people didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, because like what I'm talking about is like in elementary school, middle school, high school.
Yeah, like that's never an option.
Like it's not. No, you just go to school.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
So, it was a weird moment of my life. It was, and looking back, was such a pivotal moment of my life. And it's all thanks to the Lord and His perfect timing. And so then what happened? I think my mom suggested that I talk to someone, like a counselor, like a Christian counselor, therapist, whatever you want to call it. And so I was really reluctant at first because I don't like to talk about my feelings. I'm a lot better at that. Like obviously, like with my husband, like of course I talk about my feelings 24/7. But around family and around people like that, like I don't know, the thought of that was just very not appealing to me.
It's daunting. Yeah.
And I knew I was just worried that she would call me a failure because that's how I saw myself. So, but eventually I went. And I went for a couple of weeks, and it was amazing. And, she was a Christian counselor, so she came at it with a perspective from a biblical perspective, which was what I wanted. And I recommend to any Christian out there seeking counseling or therapy, go to
100%
biblically based people.
I really truly believe everyone should go to counseling.
Yes, 1000%. Like I thought counseling was for people with like anxiety and, well, I guess I did have depression a little, not like long-term depression, but like
No, for sure.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't want to like overplay what I was dealing with, but I was depressed at that time. So I guess that's exactly what I needed. So I was talking with her for a couple of weeks, and we just kind of, I don't know, kind of helps me reframe my thoughts, which is basically what counselors do, and therapists do, which they just tell you common sense.
Right.
And so then I ended those sessions, and I worked for this, I guess I'll call it a semester. This during what would have been my spring semester, I got a job with my bestest friend. Shout out to Jewel. And she got me a job where she was working, and it was kind of like in a business setting. And during this time, I'm trying to like figure out what I want to do for college and a career. And anyway, this isn't going to be about the rest of my college experience. I'll sum it up really quick. I went to business school and in the other semester, and that's what I graduated with, a business degree. And I crushed it. I got like amazing grades, and
You had a 4.0, yeah.
yeah, 4.0 GPA.
Yeah.
All to the glory of God. So anyway, what we really want to talk about today is how Josh and I kind of started dating. And then we want to talk about Christian dating in general. But I don't want to talk about like established boyfriends and girlfriends. I want to talk about how does a guy...
So I am so sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
But I feel like your story deserves a better closing.
Oh, okay.
Your college story deserves a better closing.
Okay. Can you close it for me?
Can I close it for you? I think it was just such a quick transition. I was like, oh wait, like I don't know. I think like I had a question or two about your experience with college.
Okay, I'll take questions.
You'll take questions. Okay, good.
Yeah. What are your questions?
I've heard the story many times before, and like I know it and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like hearing it again, it's interesting. It never actually hit me before that you went through dropping out of college and breaking up with.
Taking a leave of absence from college. I knew I would come back.
Sorry, you're right. A leave of absence from college, and then also breaking off a long-term relationship, all within like the same week. And it's interesting because those two things in particular are things that you had been doing for a very long time. Yeah. And you had grown accustomed to, and like they've been a part of your life for so long, and they both ended within a matter of a week. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, first of all, I would say I can't even imagine having to like go through something like that. Not to mention obviously losing your grandmom as well.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah. Do you feel like there was obviously that's a really low point, I would say, obviously. Do you feel like there was a moment where you felt like things kind of like turned around? Does that make sense? Or I should say where you started to feel like you got a little more used to this sort of new, the
like
new
circumstance.
Yeah, the new situation, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I may have blocked it out. I'm trying to think because, like, in the moment, you're not even thinking about stuff like that. You're just kind of living day by day. And to you, like, that's your whole world right now at that moment. So I don't know. Like, I remember feeling like, well, I missed my ex, for a couple of weeks after. Yeah. And it was just like, I don't know. I don't want to speak too much on that, but I was lonely. I was kind of aimless. Yeah. And that was the first time I've ever felt aimless and lonely. But I had an incredible support system. So
through your family.
Through my family, yeah. And I reconnected with my best friend. I started going to church again. And I started going to counseling, obviously. I think counseling is kind of when things started looking up for me. I realized, like, during those sessions, I realized, like, my expectation of a perfect life could be altered. Like, that didn't have to be, there's multiple versions of that. Like, and if I just, at that time, I remember I just wanted to be a wife and mother. I was like, I kind of just want to do that. And she's like, okay, then do that. And like, I kind of felt ashamed of that during that time where I was like, well, you know, people are going to think like I'm just like I'm lazy or something for wanting to be that. And she was like, like not at all. No. So she kind of helped me reframe my thoughts in those specific ways. And I kind of, I realized she was giving me like strategies and techniques for when I would face this maybe again in my life, to kind of help me get out of those thoughts. So just helping me think about, kind of like map out my life. Like, what do I want? How do I get there? Okay, then like do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I realized I think I got a lot of the ways I cope with stress now from those. Like, I do a lot of self-talk during like stressful. Have I talked to you about that? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I see something that's stressing me out and I kind of work backwards from it, or I'm like, okay, that's stressing me out. How do I get rid of that? Like, how do I make it so it's not stressful? What about that is stressing me out? Mm-hmm. Okay, it means I have to call this person. Like let's say this is like a work situation. So, okay, why am I scared to call that person? There's not really a reason. There's no reason for them to get mad at me for calling them. Okay, let's just call them and then you'll be able to figure it out and take it off your list of things to do.
Right.
So I think I got a lot of that kind of those healthy strategies from that counseling sessions. And anyway, I digress. So during those counseling sessions, I say things started looking up. And I was hanging out with my brother a whole lot. Sorry, there's an air bubble.
We just had Chick-fil-A, so that's why.
I don't think we should eat
I'm
that
the same
again.
Way. That's why I got
during
a
beer. Podcast. Before a podcast. I was hanging. My brother Donnie. Shout out to Donnie again.
We're gonna shout out Donnie every episode.
Like, seriously, he was like completely essential for helping me kind of figure out the college portion of my life. Kind of figuring out, that's the first time I've kind of opened up to him about like relationships.
Yep.
Because I never spoke to him about, like, he told me a lot, I just never told him a lot, which is funny. And he, yeah, we joke about that. So, yeah, he was like essential for helping me kind of figure out what I wanted to do next. And, yeah, so that was really helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's kind of when things started looking up.
That's awesome.
Did that make sense?
100%.
Okay,
oh, yeah.
good.
No, that was awesome.
Did you have another question?
No, I didn't have any more questions.
Okay.
I was just, it's such an impactful story, and I didn't want to just like give it an abrupt end, you know?
I guess so. Thank you. I feel I don't know. I don't feel self-conscious about it, but I feel like to other people, I feel like it's boring.
Oh, it's not. I can guarantee you that.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like they won't want to hear me talk about this for too long.
No,
so
I can guarantee you.
Yeah.
It is most certainly not boring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a huge moment in my life. So, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, so if anyone out there is struggling with their major or what they're doing with their life, just know you were never alone in that.
Yeah.
And yeah, just trust in the Lord, stay in prayer, and literally depend on Him on everything. That's what we learned last night not learned, but we're reminded of last night at our youth church service. So
yeah, young adults. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's not called young adults everywhere.
I don't think it'd be a youth thing though.
Oh, I guess it isn't youth.
Yeah.
Yeah, young adults church group.
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah. If y'all have any more questions about that, feel free to DM me or comment on the YouTube video for this podcast.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it in the next episode or any future episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But,
cool.
Okay. All this backstory. This was actually all backstory. This was all backstory.
It really was.
Yeah. Right? To me and Josh beginning to date. Mm-hmm. And then I was going to say before, we kind of want to talk about Christian dating. And again, not talking about established girlfriends and boyfriends, but how does a guy go about asking out a girl organically? Specifically a Christian guy, because Christians have very limited spaces where they're all together and in a social setting. So that's church, any church events, and that's kind of it. Maybe if you're kind of hanging out as a friend group, but yeah, it's hard to go outside of those circles for sure. I remember when I was in my single period and I was kind of thinking about stuff like this, I would be at like a Starbucks or something, and maybe I would see an attractive lad, and I was thinking there's no chance because I don't know if he's a Christian or not. Yep. So I'm not even going to risk it. Yep. Yeah. Not that I would go out with, I don't know, not that I would ask him out right there and then, but those kinds of thoughts, you know.
No, yeah, I remember thinking the exact same thing.
Really? Yeah.
I feel like that's a very common
I guess
thought.
Every Christian probably has thought of stuff like that. Like it's hard. So I
would think just
everyone,
whether Christian or not. Yeah.
I guess you're right. Like,
I feel like people go into public spaces all the time and they're like,
oh, he's
in the back of your, in the back of their mind.
What if that's that?
Yeah.
But for a Christian, it's extra difficult.
For sure.
Because you want to find someone who also loves the Lord.
Yes. Oh, right. I'm sorry. I know you had mentioned that. But right, yeah. It is more difficult for Christians, yeah. Yeah. So you're kind of better. There's a better probability that's happening at church or a church event. Definitely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about me and Josh, how we kind of got together. Mm-hmm. And I have some notes in front of me, so if you see me looking, that's where I'm looking. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I told that whole college story to kind of give a background on my dating life just a little bit, and then kind of where I was mentally and emotionally after that. So you got it.
I was about to cough into the mic. That would have been so gross.
Would have been loud, yeah.
And loud. There's like flint on it getting in my throat.
Oh, well, you don't gotta be so close to it.
No, I do. So, I'm stalling because I don't really know how to start this.
Well, I mean, you could just start from like, when you went through that difficult time.
Oh, right.
You were going through counseling. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going through counseling, and, dating was kind of brought up in counseling, and I forget what specifically how I felt about it at that time. I probably was saying like, I don't feel ready, but I want to feel ready. Kind of stuff like that. So that winter, I guess, I noticed this guy right next to me, Josh Bear, at our young adults church.
Mm-hmm.
Church group. Sorry. This is a rough episode.
You need some water.
No, I'm good. So
we've been talking a lot. I think that's the issue.
Yeah. So I noticed Josh, he's playing bass on the worship team. And to give another version of backstory, Josh and my brother Donnie have been friends for like close best friends since they were in middle school or high school.
Like early high school, yeah.
Early high school, 10th grade maybe.
I guess it kind of was middle school. Yeah, it was like around that time.
Yeah. So, like they're, each other's bestest friend, would confide with each other in everything, right? Like, would you guys read the Bible together, or like?
We would call each other every night.
They would call each other every night.
That was our junior and senior year.
That's incredible to me.
High school.
So all that to say, they were incredibly close. Mm-hmm. So I've known Josh since that time, since they, were friends. And Josh, you're 3 years older than me, but you're 2 grades above me.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. That's the context.
Yeah, I'm like 2.5 years older. Yeah. Yeah.
2.5. Yeah, 2.5.
Just being exact.
Specifics.
Yeah.
So I've known you for a really long time, but we've never thought of each other that way.
No.
And so it was just like my eyes were kind of open to you during that winter. I was like, oh, Josh is single, right? Like, what if, I don't know, what if that, like, that was just like a funny idea in my head. Not funny, but, surprising idea in my head where I was like, wow, what if that, me and him ended up happening somehow.
Yeah.
It's and little did I know. Do you want to take it from here?
Oh, yeah, I'll take it from here. So that was like around like probably December of 2017. Only a couple months after you had, after you took a leave of absence from school, and
everything went down.
A couple months after everything went down. I think back in like May of 2017. I happened to be over at their house, at the Edmonds' house, and Tori, it was in the morning.
That's my maiden name.
Oh yeah.
Just in case. I don't know.
Yeah. And I had stayed the night with Donnie. I was hanging out with Donnie, and which I had done, hundreds of times before. So anyway, all this to say, we were having breakfast, and you'd walk down the stairs, and she did like this hair flip.
Go ahead.
It was like a specific hair flip.
Yeah.
And I felt like I got like blown back off my feet.
Really?
Yeah. I was like,
whoa. Did you lose your breath for a second?
I did, yeah.
Wait, seriously?
I did. Because the way you did the hair flip, I don't know. It's just like,
yeah.
It just opened my eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah,
like hit me. I was like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was back in like May of 2017. Yeah. So like, like 7 months earlier than when you first noticed me.
And and you knew I was in a relationship, so
at that time,
you played it really cool.
Yeah. No, I didn't do anything.
Were you like praying or like about it, or you just kind of like seeing what was happening?
I was definitely praying for like. I've been praying for like a wife for a long time, So yeah, you were like included in those prayers. Is that what you mean?
I guess so. Like,
yeah.
From when you first noticed me, like when you're like when that moment onward, like,
yeah.
Did your prayers change at all, or?
It's a good question.
You don't remember.
It was it was a bit of a difficult situation because Donnie was such a close friend of mine for so long. So there was a little bit of like, okay, like, curiosity about like how everyone would feel in the situation, how your family would feel, how Donnie would feel. Yeah. So
how I would feel,
how you would feel. Yeah.
So, so he liked me a lot before I, kind of noticed him in that way. So I, just kind of noticed you, and it was like, okay, Josh. And then, but I wasn't ready to date. I was just looking, scouting the menu.
You saw that filet mignon. You were like, oh, that looks good.
Stop it. Oh my gosh, that was gold. That filet mignon.
That $100 filet mignon.
Oh.
You were like, "Ooh, that sounds really good," but you knew you couldn't. You didn't have the cash.
Oh, you're right.
I'm killing it with these analogies.
That's pretty accurate, actually. Yeah, the emotional cash.
Yeah. I'm so dumb. Oh my gosh.
Just like kind of grieving a bit,
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm totally downplaying it. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's fine. Are you gonna say something?
What was I gonna say? Oh no, I was gonna ask. You had just mentioned that you weren't ready.
Right. So I wasn't really ready, or I didn't know. Like, I forgot what it felt like to feel ready. I don't know. Like, I didn't know how to be single really. So, I was just kind of like, okay, Josh, and I kind of let that idea play in the head. And then Josh you kind of start not pursuing me, but kind of getting yourself into my line of sight.
Yeah, trying to get you to notice me a little.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly. So I remember 3 specific things that he did during this time.
Yeah.
All of them happened at our young adults group. So I'm reading them out. You complimented my hair one week. My hair was curled. And he like walked by and was like, "Oh, I really like your hair." And my heart was just like all fluttery, of course. And then one week you sat next to me. Like you kind of came in late and you sat next to me. And my heart was like pounding the whole time. Like I thought, I was actually afraid you could hear it. And like,
because you thought it was so
like
loud,
that was like a legitimate fear I had.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah. And then there was another time where I hope this doesn't come off weird. It didn't feel weird to me in the moment at all, and it really shouldn't come off as weird. He complimented my blouse.
Yeah, I complimented on you on your shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it was very, I don't know, like caught my attention. That was kind of maybe the thing that made me think like, oh, does he feel a certain type of way about me? Like, like does he like me? Maybe I don't know. Like, do people do that normally?
Yeah.
So
wait, before you move on though.
Okay.
You were also throwing some vibes at me too, though.
We did not discuss this.
Beforehand.
We did not discuss this before recording.
You were throwing some vibes my way too, though.
Okay, go ahead.
I remember it was a group of us, and we went to this comedy show downtown.
This is my downfall.
Down in Philly, and we sat next to each other, which I was really excited about. I remember it was kind of on accident, but I wasn't going out of my way to make sure it didn't happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I was like trying to kind of make it happen that we sat next to each other, which we did. And then we were watching the comedy show, and it actually was a sweet moment. The guy, like, somebody proposed to somebody.
Yeah, they prearranged with the troupe that they would propose to their girlfriend at the end, and
and so like
it happened.
That was happening, and we were watching it. We were like, "Oh my gosh, like he's proposing." And Tori grabbed my arm.
Okay, before you
grabbed my arm.
If you're watching, I just kind of lightly touched it.
Oh my goodness.
No, even I know that's a lie.
No, yeah.
I kind of shook his shoulder like this.
You had 2 hands on my arm.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
All right. Head of household. I had 2 hands on his shoulder, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was, just kind of like, oh my gosh, look. And I guess to me, I did kind of want that to signal like something to you. I didn't know the effect it would have for the rest of my life. Okay. Man, that
really was like, I was like, it is funny how like something that simple really made me go like, wow.
Yeah.
Like I was really on board. You know what I mean? Like I was like, yes.
You were smitten.
I was very smitten. Yeah.
You still are.
Because I think what it was because, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
We're married.
Yeah, we're married. You like me.
I do. No, because I think that's when I realized like, oh, I think she likes me too. Because you did that, and I was like, it just like made me feel really, really good. Yeah. Like, wow.
Yeah. And I really shouldn't have done that, I don't think, now looking back, because I wasn't really ready to go further in a dating sense.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, I regret shaking your arm like 100%.
Yeah. Well, from there, then we can continue on with the story. But yeah, go for it.
So from there, you talk to my brother.
Yeah.
And you kind of bring up that you want to date me. And let me just be very clear. Donnie knew everything that was going on in my life.
Yeah.
He knew that I was going to counseling. After counseling, I would go to him and I would talk to him about what we talked about in counseling.
Oh, I didn't even know
for
that.
the most part.
Up until now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he knew everything. He knew the struggle I was having.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, he just knew everything. So he knew how not ready I was to date.
Mm-hmm.
Probably better than I did. So, you kind of talk to him and he's telling you like kind of no, like I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't go into details about why you were, like what you were struggling with. I mean, he mentioned like things that I already knew in the sense like I had known that you had broken off your long-term relationship, you know, and I had known that your guys' grandparents or grandmom had died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had known obviously that you also took a leave of absence from school.
Yeah.
So like I knew all those things, and he was just like, you know, he didn't want to go into detail, which I respected and respect now, you know. Just trying to protect you. And so that's what it was. Yeah. And so he was like, he basically was like, now's not a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a couple weeks later, you and I talked, and you essentially just confirmed all those things.
Yeah, I confirmed. So yeah. Anyway, and I just want to say, I just want to go into detail just a little bit.
Sure.
So I, touch your arm. You talk to Donnie. Do you talk to Donnie about? You talked to him about the arm thing, right?
I did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then Donnie comes to me, and he's like, I heard you touch Josh's arm. And I'm like so embarrassed. And I thought I made you so uncomfortable. I thought you were going to him to be like, hey, can you tell your sister
not to do
like
that? Yeah.
Ease back a bit? Like, I don't know. I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't feel safe. Not really. I thought I made you like so uncomfortable.
Right.
And you were telling him like, I don't feel like anything about her. Like, just don't like tell her to like stop it and don't look at me anymore. So that's what I thought he was saying. And so, but then you go to my best friend Jewel at another time.
I had gone to her before all this. Yeah.
Okay. So she knew how you felt about me.
Her and her husband Rob.
Yes.
Shout out Rob and Jewel.
Shout out freaking Rob and Jewel. They fielded a lot of gentleman callers for me during that time period.
You had a lot of gentleman callers. You did. Everyone heard you were single, and it was like
that
line
sounds
out
so
the
conceited,
door.
But there's no other way around it.
I mean, it's the truth. Yeah. There's a line out the door. Yeah.
No, there was not. There was maybe like 5 people who got up to them.
That's a lot of people, I feel like.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know how many. It's probably like 2 people. So,
no.
Okay. You were one of them.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later. So they knew. So she comes to me at work the next week, and she's like, I know someone who likes you. And I'm like, you're the last person I'm thinking that likes me. And I'm like, who? Like, and she's like, he's best friends with your brother. And I'm like, it's Josh? Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I realized, like, what I did was actually good, I guess, in a sense. You liked it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You felt good about it. And it was giving you good signals. So I was like, that's very confusing to me. I don't know how to feel about this. I was kind of mentally preparing for the fact that we'll never be together. So anyway, we kind of talk after that. And I kind of confirm, like, I'm actually not ready. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we go through the summer. I actually am interested in another guy during the summer.
Yeah, you get to a point where you're like, where you feel ready to date again.
Oh, yeah. A couple months go by. Well, not a couple months. Maybe like 2 months. I don't know.
It was more than that.
3 months, 4 months, whatever.
I think it was like almost 6 months. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am actually interested in another guy. And that was so short-lived. I realized like it would never work. And then I'm only bringing this up because I want to talk about it later. I go out on a date with another guy. And I just wasn't really feeling it. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, when you were ready, why didn't you go back to Josh? And I just want to explain that a bit and defend my case. It's because I
was asking that before this podcast.
Yeah, and I was asking.
It hit me like, oh wait, why didn't she like come to me earlier?
And that's a valid question.
Yeah,
it's 100% a valid question. And so the reason I kind of realized was I didn't really know how I felt about you. I was just single, and you were the first guy. To me, you were the first guy that liked me after I was single. So I broke up with my ex, and I realized, like, I don't know. I just I didn't want you to be the replace. I guess they call it a rebound guy. I don't know, in the world out there.
I understand what you're saying. I know what you mean.
I feel like it sounded better in my head. Like, I didn't want to date you just because it made me feel less lonely. I wanted to date you because I could see if, I wanted to date you for a long time, Right. I wanted to get to know you as a person that I could potentially spend my life with.
Right. But I understand what you're saying, but I think, and maybe you can clarify with this, the reason you didn't like come back to me or like, let me know earlier than you did about you being ready was because you didn't even know if you liked me. Yeah.
I'm nodding my head. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if you, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I didn't know if I liked you or if I just wanted another boyfriend in my life.
Oh, I understand. Gotcha.
Yeah. I was kind of struggling with that. And also the huge impact it would have on the people around us if we started dating,
Yeah.
It would affect your friendship with my brother. And it would have, I don't know, like,
yeah,
everyone's kind of looking at that friendship, like, what's this gonna do to this friendship? So that was a lot of pressure, and that's not in my head. Like, people talk to me about it. So
oh yeah, no,
yeah, they were telling me not to date you. So anyway, so it was just so confusing. So I came to the conclusion. I was like, no, I want to date him because I want to get to know him, not because I just want a replacement boyfriend. So I told my brother, like a coward, I was like, Donnie, tell Josh I'm ready to date. Tell him to ask me out.
Well, no, that's not a coward thing to do. Because what people have to understand is, like, you and Donnie were super close, especially over that previous year.
Yeah.
And so... And me and Donnie were like best friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I wanted to be asked out. I didn't want to ask you out.
Yeah. So it was like, So I mean, that's another reason. So for you, it was good. It was good to go to Donnie and let him know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was just a way to make sure that Donnie was staying in the loop with that. Because, like,
he's important to both of us.
He's such an essential part in our lives. Yeah. So it was like,
It just made sense.
Of course, yeah.
So I tell him to tell you, I'm ready, ask me out. So he tells you, and then Josh asked me out on the night before Thanksgiving. Our church holds a communion service the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, and so he came up to me and he asked me out for coffee, and I said yes, of course. And that was the start of our relationship. So
it was awesome.
It was the best. Yeah.
And here we are,
Bear Tech Podcast.
Yes,
couples who podcast together stay together. Yeah. So anyway, that kind of story kind of led me to, like, our situation was unique. Every story is unique, though. I guess that's, in a sense, it's not unique. So deep. Podcasting has made me wiser.
It really has. But no, I think, explaining that whole story, and which I think we wanted to talk about anyway.
We definitely wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I wanted people to know. But I think a big thing that's going on, particularly in the church, is this, I would say it's an issue of,
like, men not knowing how to talk to women.
Yeah. Single men not knowing how to talk to single women.
And that story kind of just made me realize, like, how complicated it can get.
Yeah.
Like, you're doubting yourself. You're doubting how like your people's perceptions of you. Like it just can really knock you down, that whole process. So we went on Instagram. I went on Instagram today and I asked people to tell me what they think are best practices for men asking out women organically in the church. Obviously, this doesn't really apply to apps. Not that there's anything wrong with them.
Yeah.
But like, I think the problem is, you know, when a guy sees a girl he finds attractive and doesn't even know her name, she doesn't know his name, and maybe wants to pursue something there. So,
yep.
I have a little formula. Not a formula. I don't know. It's just like one step, kind of.
I feel like you've told this to a couple people, and it's worked.
They would never admit that to me, though. I don't think.
I think just one.
I'm really thinking of just one person, and that's all I need. I just need your validation.
Yeah.
So, as a girl, I think what guys kind of they don't understand maybe 100% is when you come up to a girl for the first time, it's just a little overwhelming because we kind of know what's happening, and our biggest fear is maybe you're going to ask us out at the end of this first meeting. Does that make sense? So, for instance, I want to give you a example of what to do. So, I mentioned that I went out on a date over the summer of 2018 with a guy, and the way I got to that date was because he played the long game. So, I remember sitting at church with my best friend Jewel, and this guy comes up to us, to the both of us, addressing the both of us. And so we were at the young adults group ministry, whatever. And, you know, he introduces himself and he's like, hey, you know, I'm new, which he was brand new. I'm new in the area, new to the church, you know, just trying to introduce myself. My name is such and such. And you're like, oh, you know, thanks. Like, my name's Jewel, my name's Tori, whatever. And he's like, wow, it's so great to meet you guys. And then he left. And that was a freaking game changer. I was like, wow.
And then he left.
And it was amazing. And that sounds really mean, but let me explain something to you. We knew what he was. I knew he was interested in me. So, and Jewel kind of confirmed that for me later.
Yeah, you girls aren't dumb. You knew.
Yeah, we knew. So, and he knew we knew, probably. I don't know. So, like, he comes up.
If he knew that you knew, that's next level.
That is next level.
Because then he was purposely going like, oh, I'm just going to go up there and introduce myself and dip.
Dude.
That's respect.
Josh respects it. Josh played the even longer game.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Just kidding. So, you this isn't about you, Josh. I'm just kidding.
No, I know.
It's always about him because you're my husband. So, anyway, so he left and it was like, wow, it was really refreshing to be in a conversation with a guy where I didn't feel trapped. Because I guess that might just be a me thing. Though girls can confirm it for me out there. Like, literally, please DM me and help me not be alone. So, so that gave me the first idea.
Yeah.
That was like, wow, it is nice when a guy, like, who I didn't even know, like, came up to me, introduced himself, and was, like, out of the conversation in, like, 15 seconds, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think that's just such a great tip for some guys. Like, that's one way to approach it is he saw I was with my friend. He saw probably, like, it would be less pressure just on me to kind of carry the conversation. And he went up there. He'd introduced himself. And, yeah, it was great. And now I knew, like, the next time I would see him, I would know who he is. And I would probably say hi to him. Because, you know, he was friendly. So, sorry to excel at him.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
How do people do this with not, like, hyperventilating?
Yeah.
So, then the next time we saw each other maybe was like a week or two later, and he, you know, was like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, he never kept me in a conversation for too long, which I appreciated. And then maybe like the third time or fourth time we kind of saw each other, he was like, hey, like, I would love to go out with you sometime. Do you think I could have your like number? I don't know. Maybe he said it less weird than that. It was like totally normal. And I was like prepped for it.
Yeah.
And I was like mentally prepared for that. It wasn't like cold water in my face. It was like, oh, like this is, yeah, of course. And so, not that I don't know. No, I probably would have said no if he asked that very first time.
It would have just been weird.
It would have been weird, yeah. So, but he asked like the fourth time we knew each other or had met, like seen each other. And so, yeah, we went out on a date. And I will say, though, he asked me out to, we were texting and he asked me out to a family dinner. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's a don't.
Yeah.
For a first date.
Wow. He did so good up to that point.
Up to that point, it was so good. But then I was like, how about maybe just a cup of coffee? So we actually went to a coffee shop that's really close to our current apartment. Yeah. And yeah, he was very nice. But I think Josh was on my mind at that point. And I kind of, yeah. He liked that.
I mean, how can you not have the $100 filet mignon?
Oh, yeah. What was this guy? Like, what would he be on the menu?
He was something good. You know what I mean?
Chicken dish, maybe?
Solid, I would say like some sort of like something with like hollandaise sauce. You know what I mean? Something nice.
Filet mignons are often served like they're sometimes served with hollandaise sauce. Yeah. It's called like a filet. I forget what it's called, but maybe not that. Like pick another one. Pick another dinner or lunch.
Like stuffed chicken. I'll say stuffed chicken. That's good.
Stuffed chicken. Stuffed chicken is
That's good.
People like that. I wouldn't get that. Like
that's a luxurious meal though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's not the cheapest chicken dish on the menu.
No, it's not.
No, it's pretty expensive. Probably.
Yeah, I'm saying this guy was good.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, but
he wasn't the filet mignon.
I wanted the filet. I like this. I like this meal comparison thing we're doing. Just really like boiling people down to like just
to meals.
Food on a plate.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So yeah, so Josh was on my mind. So, I was like, that was really fun or that was really great, but I think we'd be better as friends.
Yeah.
So, and he took that really well and I never saw him again. Literally.
Yeah.
Like he never came back to the church.
But that's like and I think this is your whole point. Like that was a good example of like how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100. I would recommend him to a friend for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was so nice and I love the way he approached it, and that's just kind of the for when you don't know a person at all. Like he came to the church, he saw me, he wanted to get to know me, but I didn't know his name and he didn't really know my name or anything about me. But he did it like 10 out of 10, I would say. He's
great. The asking out to the family dinner thing was a little weird.
Oh, actually, he does lose points for that. I would say 9 out of 10.
Yeah, 9 out of 10. Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend to any single guy. That's one way to approach it. Another way to approach it is to really go, if you know that they have a friend that goes to the church as well, go to that person and, kind of get their story of the person you're interested in.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you yes or no. They'll screen you.
Yeah, I think they'll screen you. Yeah.
They'll vet you.
That's kind of what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Josh did.
Yeah.
And because you kind of knew who my friends were.
Yeah. We did start to hang out more after that as a group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a lot of group hangouts.
I think that's another thing that's like pretty key.
Yeah, it's so cliche, but it really is the truth. Like a group hangout.
Yep.
And I think it's more it's not as cliche when you kind of know the reason and kind of know how the way girls think, or at least the way I thought. Again, please back me up on this or prove me wrong. I would love to be proved wrong, and I would love to know how other girls out there think. But I get really overwhelmed when it's just like one-on-one.
Right.
So and as a single girl and you're talking to a single guy and you're both Christians and at church, it's kind of like we kind of both know
where this is going.
Yeah. The
totally.
implications of this. Yeah.
Totally.
So where was I going with that? group hangouts. Great. They kind of make it less overwhelming.
For sure.
There's less pressure for one-on-one conversations. You can kind of see them in a more relaxed environment. So, yeah, if you can oh boy, if you can get in that situation, that's really great. And what are some don'ts, do you say? Yeah. I have some don'ts, but I was wondering if you have some don'ts.
Oh, that's a good question. Some don'ts.
Should I say mine first while you think of some?
Yeah. Well, can I actually before we move on to don'ts, can I?
We can jump back and forth, but yeah, say some more do's.
Yeah, some more do's. I have one. I think as a guy, you have to kind of know what your strengths are.
Oh, yes, this is a really good point.
You know what I mean? And so what I mean is like if you know you're funny, if you know you're a funny guy, and you're good at making people laugh, use that, you know?
Yeah.
Like if the guy who asked you out, I don't know this guy, and I don't know like what his strengths were or anything like that, but like I guess I'm just like,
I think his strength was that he was just like a really nice guy.
Nice. Yeah. And he played that well.
Very wholesome person.
And he played that really well.
He did.
Like coming up to you and just introducing himself and being super. Yeah, that's like that's kind of what I mean. Is like doing something like that.
That's a good point.
But if you're like a funny guy, I feel like it's a good example to use. Like you can walk up, introduce yourself, say a funny joke, and like get them laughing. You know what I mean? It's like
that's a lot of pressure. Maybe like I don't know, like.
Wait, what do you mean a lot of pressure?
To like come up with a joke.
But I feel like if you're naturally funny, you kind of figure it out. You know,
try to make her laugh or something.
Yeah, like you can do it. You know what I mean?
I guess that's true.
Like I wouldn't necessarily say that's like one of my strengths. So like for me, it's like scary to have to think
too.
To do that. You know what I mean? But like for somebody who's like naturally funny and they know like that's kind of what their calling card is. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and I think it's even easier in a group. That's why like a group hangout is great because like you're kind of bouncing off more people, kind of bouncing off more conversations in that sense. And,
yep. And so,
what if you know you're a looker? What if you know?
What do you mean by looker? What do you mean by that?
What if you know you're a 10 out of 10 on the attractive scale? No questions. What do? No effort, right?
No effort.
No, just kidding.
No,
Josh, you're a 10 out of 10 attractive scale. What did you do? What would you do if we had no history of our
I only ever did this a couple times because it was with somebody who I didn't know who they were. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do this with somebody that I knew.
Right. No, yeah, complete strangers.
Yeah, like a complete stranger. Is I would give like a look. And catch their eye, not long.
Do not linger.
It cannot be long.
It goes from cute to serial killer in a matter of nanoseconds.
Yeah, the line is very thin. You do not want to cross it. Yeah, it would be quick. I catch their eye. I'm not kidding.
1, 2, done.
No, less.
Really? Okay.
Quick.
Just quick.
It's
boom.
quick.
1 boom.
It's similar to like when a guy approaches and is like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm so and so. Like, what's your name?" And then is out. You know what I mean? It's like obviously that's like 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But the point is that it's quick.
So I get okay.
You know what I mean?
And
so like
then
you're dropping the look.
How do you know if you have the green light to maybe go talk to them later?
I would do it a couple more times. The look. And
try to see if they're also trying to recatch your eye.
I might throw a little smile.
Ooh. Josh the player.
And then I walk over. Like, hey, how you doing? Like,
oh, and she's like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
No, it's me. Oh, hi.
Yeah.
No other girls. I don't even want hypothetical girls around you.
No hypothetical girls, yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. Eye contact.
But the point is, like, use your strengths.
Yeah.
Like, you know what your strengths are. And maybe that's, like, part of what guys need to do is they need to understand, like, or be able to understand what their strengths are, you know?
Just being yourself. Don't try to, like, it won't come natural to you to try to put on a certain type of persona.
100%. And here's the deal is that the girl who's going to be attracted to who you truly are is the girl you're going to want to be with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1,000%.
You're not going to want to end up marrying the girl who's attracted to somebody you're not. Like you're going to be miserable. Yeah.
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah. So I think the Lord is not to like over spiritualize it, which we'll talk about in a sec, but there is something I really do believe that the Lord honors guys who just are like themselves. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And who are, and maybe we should preface all this by saying like, again, not to over spiritualize it, but there is absolutely something to be said about trusting the Lord in allowing Him to provide, if you're a man, provide you a wife, and if you're a woman, provide you a husband, right?
Or even just like opportunities.
Sure.
Just like getting to know people.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is like those opportunities, the whole point of having those opportunities so that they can lead to marriage, you know?
Yeah, 1000%.
So, yeah.
But we'll talk about going too far with that.
Yeah, maybe this can, we can get into our don'ts now.
Okay, yes, 1000%.
Yeah.
I had a guy, so I was in college and I was in the library.
Weren't we dating at this point?
I think we were.
Yeah.
So I'm in the library and I'm like probably working on a paper or something. And there's another group in my section and, you know, they leave. And then one of the guys comes back and he comes up to me. He's like, hey, you're really beautiful. Can I have your Instagram? I was like, I do not have an Instagram. And I really didn't. I didn't have any social media up until pretty recently. And that was such a lifesaver, honestly. I just like didn't know. The reason I didn't have social media wasn't because of anything like spiritual or whatever. I just like didn't know how to use it. And I was self-conscious about putting myself out there on social media. So anyway, I didn't want to like get down on anyone if they have a social media. I have an Instagram right now and I love it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have an Instagram at that point. But it was so like just the implications of that are so creepy. I'm like, you want my Instagram handle so what? You can look at pictures of me?
That's what it is.
And then like my pic. I don't know. Like that's just real creepy. Like don't do that.
And that's happened at our young adults.
Oh
like
my gosh.
Like that's happened with Christian guys. You know what I mean?
We met someone together and
we were dating at the time.
Yeah. We were standing next to each other. Was this that
we weren't standing next to each other, but I was having a conversation with him and then you walked up.
Yeah.
And then
you were like, "Oh, and he was like, "Oh, hi, do you have an Instagram?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
Yeah. It ended up with him asking for my Instagram.
Right. Yeah.
Do not do that. Oh my gosh, that is so creepy and just sends all types of wrong messages.
Yeah.
I do not like that at all. Then, okay, wait, can I tell one more story?
Yeah.
I only have one more story. Not some type of like crazy dating person.
Oh yeah, like here's my number 2 story out of my thousands.
No, it's not that. It's like number 2 out of 2.
Yeah.
So, I was in business school. Josh and I are dating. And I have a class with a guy, and I just know him from this class, really. And I don't know, it's like business finance or whatever. And we're like doing a couple classes together, or like I don't know, it's been a couple weeks of us in the same class. We sit next to each other because I think it was like assigned seats. And or you know how it is in college, you like pick a seat the first day and that's your seat, like whether it's assigned or not.
It's so true.
Yeah, it's very hard to deviate from that first pick.
100%.
So so I wish I could have, but I couldn't. So I don't know, it's a couple weeks into the semester and he like comes up to me while we're waiting for the door to the class to open, and he is amped up, full of energy. It feels like he took like snort of cocaine before he came up to me. Like that's like the energy I was getting. Yeah. He was like, hey, so I was thinking like we have the same major and we have like a lot of same like things that we're doing right now. Like how about like we should just like hang out sometime. I was like, are you asking me out on a date? And he was like, yeah. He was like jumping. I was like, no, I have a boyfriend.
Wow.
Yeah, it was real uncomfortable. And then we had to sit next to each other every day. Oh no, 3 days a week for the rest of the semester after that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny you saying the story. I've heard that story before, but you saying it now, it makes me realize, it is hard for guys. Like, he might have been really nervous.
I would say not to do it in the middle of the semester.
Yeah.
I would say that was the
And not right before class.
And not right before class, yeah.
Yeah, definitely not right before
No,
class.
I am sympathetic. Like, he was probably really nervous. It takes a lot of guts to do that. I totally understand. But I would say the timing was off.
That's, yeah.
And don't, like, I was, like, backed up against the wall, like, not really. Not in a creepy way. Just, like, I had no escape.
But, yeah, you were, like, cornered, yeah.
It was a little creepy. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it was just, like, aggressive.
Yeah.
And the time, I guess, I understand, like, what he was, he was trying to ask me out, and that was really sweet. But maybe not in the middle of the semester. And, again, like you said, not right before class.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, timing is everything. Like, you guys be prepared to be rejected and what that will look like for the two of you.
Yeah, I
after
think
that moment.
For sure. And I think a lot of the issues with guys is, like, they don't have any confidence in themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you should have confidence.
Yeah. And, like, I'm not saying it's a lot easier said than done is what I'm trying to say.
It is. It really is.
Like,
it's, like, we say a lot, like, I'm so glad we're not dating right now. Because it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard to put yourself out there, and it's hard to do it, like, over and over and over again.
Yep. What's funny is I remember when when we first started, like, talking, and then I asked you, not asked you out, but I asked you, like, what you were, like, if you would be okay with us, like, giving it a try, and you were like, oh no, like, I'm not, like, I need more time, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Looking back at that time for me, like, how I was,
I
was a mess. I was not good mentally.
I remember.
Or emotionally.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You were, yeah.
So I was, it really was the Lord in a way, but
really
all this to say, I didn't have, like, the confidence to be able to, I mean, sure, like, I went up to you and I asked you, but, like, I would not have been a good boyfriend, essentially, or a good husband. So anyway, later on in that year, like a month before Donnie came to me, he was like, oh, hey, like, Tori is ready now.
Yeah.
I actually started going to counseling to kind of, like, work on some stuff, some issues that I had. And I was like, that's when I really started to kind of, like, gain that confidence in myself.
Right, because that counseling kind of just reframes your thoughts.
Totally. Reframes your thoughts on who you are. You know what I mean?
And who you are in Christ, most importantly.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, 100%. So all that to say, I remember when Donnie told me, and I remember I'd only been in counseling for about a month, but I remember even feeling a little better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I felt better about, like, asking you out. I felt better about going on dates. You know what I mean? Like, It was, yeah. And so all that to say, for me it was counseling, but I do think for guys, you have to be able to be confident in allowing yourself to be who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just get ready to, like, just always think of the worst case scenario. Just, like,
yeah.
If I'm rejected, that doesn't define who I am.
Absolutely.
You know, like, just because you're rejected, that they might have another person in their head that they want, and that's fine. Or I don't know, maybe they're not in a place where they can pursue something
100%.
with you. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of fear, and it's totally natural. And I think what's helpful to know is that everyone's probably feeling the same way you are.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And if they're not, they've been there before. Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
For sure. And I guess it's just practice.
Yeah, honestly.
Practice asking girls out,
yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
With care, like,
with care, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to what people replied to your story with?
Yeah, let me go to my Instagram story. I put out a call to action to the people, and I said, tell me your do's and don'ts for dating. So one person said, just say something. If you like someone, tell them so. And I know that sounds, I think that's good advice, like.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Like, what, like, how will they ever know? So it's like, the concept is, what's going to happen if you never tell this person how you feel? Or, like, I don't know, just go up to someone and ask them out. Like,
And what's the worst that happened? They'd be like, no.
Doing the do's and don'ts that we said.
Yeah. Yeah, right, of course. No, but like the worst that can happen is they say no, and you're like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And then you move on with your life. You know?
Like with the one guy I went on a date with, you know, he did the long-ish game, and, you know, he was like, hey, you know, can I have your number? I could have said no, and he would have been, that would have been fine, because I know he's like a good person, and like he didn't know my background, so like there could have been a million reasons why I would have said no.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so just say something.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another response we got. This person said, do not ask a girl out over text. Be intentional and ask her in person.
100%.
Yeah. And the fact that this person had to say that shows that it's happening out in the world, and it's a darn shame that it is.
No, I mean, it is, yeah.
No, girls. Okay, let's say there's two guys. One guy asks a girl out over text. The other guy asks in person. Guess who she's going out on a date with? The guy who asked in person.
100%.
Like, it just shows so much more. It shows confidence.
Yeah.
Like, it might seem that it's easier and you seem more confident over text, but on our side, even if you're like shaking in front of us and you're asking us out in person, it just shows so much more of your character.
Yeah, I would even say that that's endearing, kind of.
1000%. Yeah.
Because you see, like, oh, he's
nervous to talk to me, and that like
he likes me.
Makes us
Yeah.
feel good. Yeah. There's a lot of good things happening there.
Yeah, but like the fact that he's stepping out of his comfort zone, he like wants to do this, like that speaks a lot. You know what I mean?
Yes, 1000%.
Yeah, that speaks a lot. So
yeah,
I don't want to like brag on myself, but
no, do it. You made it to husband status.
I made it.
You made it.
We both made it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the prize, so you made it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that you and I didn't text for the first.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Yes, go ahead.
I don't even know if we started texting until we were actually officially dating.
I wanted to talk about this, but I'm so happy you brought this up.
Yeah.
Yes. So Josh asked me out to coffee. He asked me out on a Wednesday night, and he asked me for coffee for the next Monday.
Yeah, Monday night, which is funny.
Yeah, Monday night.
Monday night coffee, yeah.
It worked out for our schedules.
Yeah, it was good.
I didn't think of anything of it.
Yeah, me neither.
Isn't that weird?
That's why I asked you out for it, yeah.
So, did we even have each other's I had your number at that point.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did have your number. But he didn't text me, and I didn't text him during that 5-day period.
Yeah.
And that was so new to me, and I was a little nervous about it, 'cause like I was waiting for some type of confirmation from him that he was like, okay, yeah, like I can't wait to see you Monday at this time. Like I didn't even know what time he was coming by. No, I did.
No, we established a time.
We established a time.
Yeah.
We did do that. But I don't know. I just wanted a confirmation or something.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like radio silence.
Mm-hmm.
And but he showed up at that time, and we went out to Starbucks.
You showed up for that time too, so
yeah.
Worked out.
Well, you picked me up at my house, so.
Oh, that's right. I forgot I picked you up.
It's not really that impressive.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I forgot I picked you up. Yeah.
You showed up too.
You showed up too.
Yeah, such a big deal. I was at my house.
Yeah.
So
but I don't even think we like. And then we went on a second date. Maybe
a week later. Like
we didn't text.
Full week later.
I think we were like that Monday night, we finished up and we were like, yeah, this is cool. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
And then we set up a time for that Saturday morning.
Yep.
To go out to breakfast.
No. Oh yeah. That Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm. And I
no text back.
We
and forth
established
about
a time, and then I just came and picked you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think it happened again for the third date.
Yep.
Which was the following Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'll come pick you up at whatever.
Yep. And he did.
I'm so glad I did that.
I'm so happy too, because
it relieved so much pressure.
It sounds like it wouldn't, but it did.
Yes.
Like.
Yeah.
I would recommend that to anyone starting a new relationship. Like, don't text, because this is what happens. You start texting back and forth, and you start to overthink your texts and like, oh, when's a good time? Like, when's a good stopping point to say goodnight?
Yep.
Is it weird to say goodnight? Like, how do you, like, I don't know. It's just so much easier to not text.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And we didn't even establish that early on. But if you have to, like, I would.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, if that's like a boundary you'd like to put up, I would highly recommend it, because it's good to have, you know, we saved all our conversation for when we were going to talk in person.
That's what I was worried about. I was worried that we would just text about everything.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, it's going to make the dates boring, you know?
Yeah, it made it like new and exciting.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
we had nice long dates. It was great.
Yeah, they were full of conversation.
Yeah.
Because we had stuff to talk about.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So that is such a big deal. Yeah, so don't make texting the main part of your relationship.
Yeah, and like, even if a guy does text a girl to ask her out and she happens to say yes, that just like, I feel like that just puts you both behind the 8 ball starting right off the bat, you know?
1000%.
Which is tough. Yeah.
Yeah, do as much in person as you possibly can.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, so let's see.
Yeah, what's another
else? Some people DM'd me because they had longer responses, which I loved, that didn't fit into the Instagram story question box. So I just want to kind of summarize what they said. So one woman said, this is such a hard topic. You know, she recognized that because it is so complicated. You're dealing with 1,000 different types of personality types.
Definitely.
1,000 different backgrounds.
Yeah. You're stepping out of your comfort zone.
It's such a difficult thing to do. Like, it's so vulnerable. So she was kind of, she feels bad for guys in the church who their heart is for the Lord. They're just seeking out a good relationship that will lead to a godly marriage. And they can get some sort of reputation. Like, sometimes this guys can get a reputation. Now, asking out girls you have to be kind of careful, because you don't want to be like going for every single, like, you don't want to like have a spreadsheet of all the single girls in your youth or in your group, your church group, and like checking off like accepted, declined. Like, that's weird. Like, you will quickly gain a bad reputation that way as someone who's just desperate for anything. You want to be kind of intentional about you know, who you're going for. So, but for those men who are trying to be intentional and have good intentions, sometimes she feels bad that sometimes they can get a bad reputation as you know, someone who's hunting for girls when they are just trying to find a good wife, she said. And there is nothing wrong with dating. So she knows of a pastor, or she doesn't know this pastor. She heard of a pastor that shamed a guy for asking someone out at a singles ministry and said they should be seeking the Lord. First of all, that's kind of over spiritualizing dating a bit. Which is the next topic. And she said, why would the two be mutually exclusive? Which I completely agree with. Yeah. And she felt so bad for this guy, because where are we supposed to meet people? We were talking about before, like, we're not going to go to a bar, and like, that's not where we'll probably find Christian people.
Right, of course, yeah.
So, and I asked the question. I asked a question on the story, like, on my Instagram story, do you guys think someone should play the long game or ask someone out on the first date, or not the first date, or the first meeting? I was just trying to guide people on the kind of answers I was trying to receive. And so she definitely said, you know, maybe wait a few times before asking them out, which
play the long game.
Play the long-ish game.
Longish game.
I think we have to add an ish to that long.
Yeah, I guess I'm comparing it to like first meeting. Hey, what's your number? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, don't do that. That's too short.
Yeah, like you hang out like 3, 4, 5 times. To me, that's like the long game.
Yeah, that's the long game to me too. I guess we should have defined that. That's the long game to me as well.
Yeah, it's possible to play the too, like, you're too long.
And unfortunately, people play the too long game.
Yeah.
And so I want to get into our next story about
Oh,
that.
but I actually had a couple things to say.
Okay, go for it.
To this response.
I want to hear you.
Because it's such a good one. And I think such a huge part of the church and Christian culture over the last 20 years has been defined by this one freaking book. Back in like the early 2000s, it was called I Kiss Dating Goodbye. Do you remember this book?
I had heard of it, and I felt like a bad Christian girl for never having read it.
Oh my gosh, everybody made you feel horrible
if you hadn't read that book.
If you hadn't read it, if you weren't following it. Yeah. It was like the book to read.
Yeah.
And if you didn't read it, or if you didn't follow it, you were a horrible Christian.
Yep.
Yeah. And basically the premise of the book, honestly, I didn't even read it. I'm
actually so glad you're bringing this up because this is such a good point. Keep going.
Yes, yeah. The premise of the book was basically like that he sounds ridiculous, but like he basically gave up on dating and was just like quote unquote trusting in the Lord and like doing what that pastor said to do. You know what I mean? And he like found his wife or whatever, you know what I mean? Which is fine. But it ruined.
But shaming other people who didn't do it that exact way.
Yes.
So that's I think where it becomes wrong.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to do
like shaming somebody, like a guy who's just trying to look for a godly Christian wife, and he's at a singles group, and he asks one of the girls out. Yep. And he's getting condemned for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that shouldn't be happening.
No. And so I think that book really actually did shape a lot especially for us like millennials.
Well, I'm not a millennial, but okay.
Yeah, sorry, you're like an older Gen Z. Is that what it is? Gen Z.
I don't like the word older, so I'm gonna say I'm a super young, super cool, in the middle person. I'm just kidding. I don't care. Yeah, I'm an old lady Gen Zer.
No, I'm like the cool Gen Z.
That's
what it is. Yeah. No.
Kind of in the know, but maybe 6 months behind.
Yeah. It's funny because like I think when that book came out, I was like 10, which is like
and you
young.
knew about it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, because they targeted middle schoolers. I
yes,
think.
Yeah, and I was like in 5th or 6th grade or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was their target.
Well, yeah, it was like middle schoolers and high schoolers. Yeah, and so, man, dude, it was
And I think
such a bad book.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So this guy, he had been dating and wasn't really having any luck in that dating department, and decided to just give it a break and focus on, seeking the Lord.
Yeah, I will say I do believe his intentions were good.
That's what I'm trying. I'm not trying to peg this guy as a bad guy, but I don't like that he tried to shame everyone else in what they were doing. Yeah. So
he tried to paint. I mean, the way the book came off as was that dating's bad.
Right.
Essentially, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so all that to say, I feel like that book kind of shaped a lot of like us millennials and maybe even older Gen Zers into that sort of thought of like, oh no, dating's like bad, and it's caused a lot of guys to, and we'll talk about this in a sec, but over spiritualize dating.
That's so true.
You know what I mean? To make it so that like you have to like pray really hard to figure out like, Lord, should I like ask this girl out? Like, is
this
she
my future wife?
Yeah, like what in the world? Yeah.
Like, don't take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's such a fine line, isn't it?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like, no, you're right. Don't take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Like, yes, you want to date to marry.
Yep.
But
you don't have to wait
for
a
date
sign from God to tell you which person to date.
Yes. Exactly.
Is that clear?
I guess and the way I would say it is like, you want to make sure that you're dating to get married, but in order to do that, you have to date to get married. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, so that brings us to our next point.
Yep, which is the last point. Yeah.
Like over spiritualizing dating. So this one person submitted a very good point that I hadn't thought about before. And so this person said that oftentimes guys over spiritualize dating, and so what happens is some guys won't ask out a girl unless they think it will lead to marriage, like that particular girl.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll keep dragging her along, keeping her kind of on the hook, kind of playing with her heart maybe a little bit.
And not asking her out.
And not asking her out, like not making it intentionally clear that they're interested and going further with it.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep dragging her along, and in their minds they're waiting for like the Lord to send them a dove to rest upon this woman's shoulders.
Yeah.
And that is their sign that, oh, it's good to go to dinner now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's ridiculous. That's not going to happen probably. And yeah, so they'll wait for that sign, and because it means that God has blessed that relationship and they can marry now.
Right.
And that's such a twisted way to think about it.
Yeah.
So this person said, I know it sounds crazy, but like it goes from 0 to 100 really quick.
100%.
Like,
Sorry.
Yeah, on those dates. Like on the first date, the guy is talking about what he wants in a marriage, and it's like, whoa, like slow down, guy.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down. Like,
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Like,
right.
What's your last name? And
right, exactly.
Where are you from? And what are your interests? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, don't do that. That's a big don't.
No. I feel like you and I didn't even talk about stuff like that, and we had known each other for a very long time.
Yeah, until about 6 months in.
I mean, yeah, we just didn't like.
We were definitely official.
For sure. Oh, before we started talking about it. Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was just like, that is wild.
I first asked him what his salary was.
On our first date.
That was very important to me.
It was the second date.
It was not our first date.
It was at most our second
I'll tell
date.
you this. We texted about it. That's how I asked you.
No.
I think I remember texting you. Oh, wait, no. We were like
talked
in
about
your
it in person.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was on the second date.
Yeah.
I remember I was dropping you off after our second date.
Yeah.
And you asked me how much I make.
How'd you feel about that?
I respected it. I actually felt kind of nice. I was like,
I knew he had a good job.
yeah.
I just need to know how good.
Yeah.
Can he support me?
Yeah, and I could.
Can he support my dating lifestyle?
You're dating, yeah, right.
Can he take me out to nice places? And he can, and he did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just like a funny little story. You probably shouldn't do that to, the people you're going out on dates with.
Yeah.
But yes, all this to say, do not over spiritualize it. Obviously you're in prayer and you're seeking the Lord, but like, do not wait for God to give you like a vision or a dream about who your future, like maybe that will happen for you, and if it does, like, that's incredible, but that probably won't happen for the majority of you.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
So it's best to just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, you can't over spiritualize it.
Yeah, and you're not doing a favor to these women who are just like trying to figure, like, you're just wasting their time. Like,
it's putting so much pressure on them, putting them on a pedestal. You know what I mean? Like, having to, like, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But like, I feel like it's not. I feel like it's the opposite of pedestal.
Oh, really?
Like, I feel like you're saying.
I feel like it's like waiting for the Lord to be like, yes, like,
you're
this is her.
You're waiting for the Lord to put her on a pedestal, but you're dragging her along like she doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah, that's a good point. I see what you're saying.
Like, you're keeping her on the hook. And waiting for something better to maybe come along. Like, that's not good.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Respect their time. Respect their time. And just kind of be chill on the first date, just.
No, get to know them.
You don't have to talk about, like, if the conversation leads there, like, that's great. But don't push it, So,
yeah. Yeah, I feel like guys, Christian guys in particular, feel actually, I feel like this is pretty exclusive to Christian guys. Feel a need to, like, make their intentions known right away on the first date. And I understand the intention. Like, I understand what they're trying to do. But I think what they don't understand is that it freaks the girls out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think maybe a better way to say it, or if you feel that pressure, I know we have to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
And we will, I promise. But I think a better way to do that is to kind of just say, hey, I'm, dating. I don't know, like, how would a guy try to better state his intentions? Maybe the third date, just say, hey, like, I've been having a really great time, and
I feel like if a girl has, I feel like the assumption should be that your intentions are correct.
Mm-hmm.
And if a girl is like questioning your intentions, she'll ask, and then you can tell her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when do you think girls can be let off the hook? Like, what date? If like what date number? If you had to come up with a number in your head to say, like, should I go further with this, or should I just end it here?
Okay, so you're saying the assumption is that, like, they go on the first date and they're both like, yeah, that was cool, let's go on another one.
Sure.
Still kind of trying to figure out, they're not totally sure, but they've enjoyed themselves, so they want to go on another one. So they go on a second one. Okay, I see what you're saying. If you don't know by like the fourth or fifth date,
maybe it's time to.
I feel like the fact that you don't know is probably saying something.
Maybe.
I think.
I'll say that in our relationship, we knew by the third date that that's something we wanted to keep pursuing, and we wanted to become officially exclusively boyfriend and girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this. If I were the guy and we had been on 4 or 5 dates and the girl still wasn't sure, I'd be like, okay, I think I'm out. Even though I felt like I was good to keep moving forward.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
okay, that's good. We'll wrap this up, and we thank you guys. If you're listening up to this point, like, wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
appreciate you.
I know. Yeah.
Josh is you keep looking weird at the laptop.
I feel like your level just went like really down.
Can you not hear me in your head?
No, I can. I just see your levels. They're just.
This happened last time though too.
I know.
So I think it's fine.
Yeah.
It better be fine because it's been like this for the past 15 minutes.
I know. I know. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys want us to keep talking about this in future episodes, let us know.
Yeah.
And so we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening or watching to the Bear Attack podcast. And we will catch you next week.
Yes. We'll see you next week.
Bye.